Hey there, welcome to our video. Have you ever felt stuck in a spiral of negative emotions? Do you sometimes find yourself overwhelmed by feelings of sadness, anger, or anxiety? If so, you're not alone. Negative emotions are a part of life, but they don't have to control us. In this video, we're going to explore a powerful technique that can help you manage these challenging feelings effectively. We'll dive into why negative emotions occur, how they affect us, and most importantly, what you can do about them. By the end of this video, you'll have a practical tool to use every time you encounter negative emotions. So, let's get started on this journey to better emotional well-being. Negative emotions play a significant role in our lives, often more than we realize. They can color our perceptions, influence our decisions, and shape our relationships. Think about the last time you felt really upset or anxious. How did it affect your day? Maybe you had trouble focusing at work, snapped at a loved one, or made a choice you later regretted. These are just a few ways that negative emotions can impact our daily lives. But it's not just about the immediate effects. Over time, consistently experiencing and poorly managing negative emotions can lead to more serious issues. It can strain our relationships, harm our mental health, and even affect our physical well-being. Chronic stress and negativity have been linked to various health problems, from headaches and insomnia to more severe conditions like heart disease. However, it's important to understand that negative emotions aren't inherently bad. They serve a purpose in our lives and have played a crucial role in human survival and evolution. Fear, for instance, can keep us safe from potential threats. Sadness can help us process loss and connect with others. Anger can motivate us to stand up against injustice. The problem arises when these emotions become overwhelming or when we don't know how to handle them effectively. That's where our technique comes in. But before we get to that, let's take a closer look at why we experience negative emotions in the first place. Our brains are wired to pay more attention to negative experiences as a survival mechanism. This tendency, often called the negativity bias, helped our ancestors stay alert to potential dangers. While this was crucial for survival in the past, in our modern world, it can sometimes lead to an overemphasis on negative thoughts and feelings. Moreover, negative emotions often stem from unmet needs or expectations. When something doesn't go as planned, or when we feel threatened or hurt, our brain triggers these emotions as a response. They're like alarm bells, signaling that something in our environment needs our attention. Understanding this can help us approach our negative emotions with more compassion and curiosity. Instead of viewing them as something to be eliminated, we can see them as important signals from our mind and body. Now that we've explored the impact and origins of negative emotions, let's talk about how we can manage them more effectively. The technique we're going to discuss is simple yet powerful. It starts with awareness. Awareness is the foundation of emotional management. It's about recognizing our emotions as they arise, rather than being caught up in them. Often, we're so immersed in our feelings that we don't even realize what's happening. We might snap at someone without understanding why, or feel a vague sense of unease without knowing its source. Developing awareness allows us to step back and observe our emotions, rather than being controlled by them. It's like being able to pause a movie and look at it objectively, instead of being swept along by the plot. This awareness is crucial because it gives us the power to choose how we respond to our emotions, rather than reacting automatically. It creates a space between the emotion and our reaction, allowing us to make more mindful choices. So, how do we cultivate this awareness? The first step is to practice paying attention to our emotional state throughout the day. Try to check in with yourself regularly. How are you feeling right now? What emotions are present? This might feel awkward or difficult at first, and that's okay. Like any skill, it takes practice. Over time, you'll become more attuned to your emotional state and better able to catch negative emotions as they arise. Now, let's move on to the core of our technique, the pause. This is a simple yet powerful tool you can use every time you feel negative emotions bubbling up. The pause is exactly what it sounds like, a moment of stillness in the midst of emotional turmoil. When you notice a negative emotion arising, instead of immediately reacting or trying to push it away, you simply pause. This pause can be as short as a few seconds or as long as a few minutes. The key is to create a brief space between the emotion and your response to it. During this pause, you're not trying to change or fix anything. You're simply allowing yourself to step back and observe what's happening. The power of the pause lies in its simplicity. It breaks the automatic cycle of emotion and reaction that we often get caught in. It gives you a chance to gather yourself and approach the situation with more clarity and intention. To make the pause more effective, you can pair it with a simple breathing exercise. This helps to calm your mind and body, creating even more space for clarity and choice. Here's a quick breathing technique you can use. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, counting to 4. Hold the breath for a count of 2. Exhale slowly through your mouth, counting to 6. Repeat this cycle 3 times. This breathing pattern helps to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the rest and digest state. It can help lower your heart rate and blood pressure, reducing the physical symptoms of stress and negative emotions. Remember, the goal isn't to make the negative emotion go away. Instead, it's to create a moment of calm in which you can observe what's happening more clearly. As you practice the pause and the breathing exercise, you'll likely start to notice something interesting. You might begin to see your emotions more objectively, almost as if they were separate from you. This leads us to our next step, naming the emotion. Naming what we're feeling might seem trivial, but it's actually a powerful psychological tool. When we put a label on our emotions, we activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for rational thinking. This can help reduce the intensity of the emotion. So, during your pause, try to identify what you're feeling. Are you angry? Sad? Anxious? Frustrated? Be as specific as you can. Instead of just bad, you might realize you're feeling disappointed or insecure. This process of naming helps in several ways. First, it brings more clarity to your emotional experience. Often, we have a vague sense of negativity without really understanding what we're feeling. Naming the emotion makes it more concrete and manageable. Second, naming creates a bit of distance between you and the emotion. Instead of being completely immersed in the feeling, you become an observer of it. This slight shift in perspective can be incredibly empowering. Lastly, accurately naming your emotions can help you understand yourself better over time. You might start to notice patterns in what triggers certain emotions, giving you valuable insights into your emotional life. As you name your emotions, it's crucial to do so without judgment. This means acknowledging what you're feeling without criticizing yourself for having those feelings. It's common to judge ourselves for our negative emotions. We might think, I shouldn't feel this way, or I'm overreacting. But this self-criticism only adds another layer of negativity to our experience. Instead, try to adopt an attitude of acceptance and curiosity. Your emotions are valid, even if they're uncomfortable. They're providing you with information about your internal state and your response to the world around you. Accepting your emotions without judgment doesn't mean you have to like them or want to keep feeling them. It simply means acknowledging their presence without trying to push them away or beat yourself up for having them. This non-judgmental acceptance is a form of self-compassion. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a good friend who was struggling with difficult emotions. Practicing this acceptance can lead to significant emotional growth. When we stop fighting our emotions and start listening to them, we often gain valuable insights about ourselves and our needs. Now that you've paused, breathed, named your emotion, and accepted it without judgment, you're in a much better position to choose how to respond. This is where the real power of the technique lies, in giving you the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react automatically. When we're caught up in negative emotions, our reactions are often unhelpful. We might lash out at others, engage in self-destructive behaviors, or make decisions we later regret. By creating space through the pause, we open up the possibility of choosing a more constructive response. Your chosen response will depend on the situation and the emotion you're experiencing. It might involve addressing the source of the emotion if possible. For example, if you're feeling frustrated because of a misunderstanding with someone, you might choose to have a calm conversation to clear things up. In other cases, the best response might be self-care. If you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, you might decide to take a short walk, practice some more extended breathing exercises, or engage in an activity that helps you relax. Sometimes, the most appropriate response might be to simply acknowledge the emotion and let it pass. Not every negative emotion requires action. Often, just allowing ourselves to feel without getting caught up in the feeling is enough. The key is that you're making a conscious choice about how to proceed, rather than being driven solely by the emotion. This puts you back in the driver's seat of your emotional experience. As with any skill, managing your emotions in this way takes practice. You won't perfect it overnight, and that's okay. The goal is progress, not perfection. Try to use this technique regularly, not just when you're experiencing intense negative emotions. The more you practice with everyday frustrations and minor annoyances, the better prepared you'll be to handle more significant emotional challenges when they arise. It's also helpful to reflect on your experiences. After using the technique, take a moment to think about how it went. Did you notice any changes in how you felt or how you responded to the situation? What worked well? What was challenging? This reflection can help you refine your approach over time. Remember, some days will be easier than others. There might be times when you forget to use the technique or when it doesn't seem to help much. That's all part of the learning process. Be patient and kind with yourself as you develop this new skill. As you get better at managing your own emotions, you might start to notice positive changes in your relationships and environment. This is what we call the ripple effect. When we respond to situations with more calm and clarity, it often influences those around us. For example, if you pause and respond thoughtfully instead of snapping in anger, you're likely to have a more productive conversation. This can lead to better understanding and stronger relationships over time. Moreover, as you become more aware of your own emotions, you may find that you become more attuned to the emotions of others. This increased empathy can further improve your interactions and relationships. On a broader scale, by managing your emotions effectively, you contribute to creating a more positive environment around you. Your calm and thoughtful responses can help de-escalate tense situations and promote a more harmonious atmosphere at home, work, or in your community. While this technique is powerful, it's not always easy to implement. You might face some challenges along the way. Let's address a few common ones. Forgetting to use the technique. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to forget about pausing and fall back into old reactive patterns. This is normal, especially when you're just starting out. Don't be discouraged if this happens. Each time you remember is a small victory. Feeling like it's not working, sometimes you might use the technique and still feel overwhelmed by the negative emotion. Remember, the goal isn't to make the emotion disappear, but to relate to it differently. Even if you still feel the emotion strongly, you're practicing an important skill. Judging yourself, you might find yourself being critical of how you're applying the technique or feeling frustrated if you're not seeing immediate results. Remember, this is a learning process. Treat yourself with kindness and patience. To overcome these challenges, try setting reminders for yourself to pause and check in with your emotions throughout the day. You could use phone alerts or associate the practice with certain daily activities, like waiting in line or stopping at red lights. It can also be helpful to have a supportive friend or family member who knows about your efforts. They can gently remind you to use the technique when they notice you're getting upset. Lastly, celebrate your successes, no matter how small. Every time you remember to pause, every moment of awareness is a step forward. As we wrap up, let's recap the main points of our technique. 1. Cultivate awareness of your emotions. 2. When you notice a negative emotion, pause. 3. Take a few deep breaths to center yourself. 4. Name the emotion you're feeling. 5. Accept the emotion without judgment. 6. Choose a thoughtful response. Remember, this is a simple but powerful tool you can use anytime, anywhere. It doesn't require any special equipment or circumstances. All you need is your attention and willingness to practice. By consistently applying this technique, you can gradually change your relationship with negative emotions. Instead of being overwhelmed by them, you can learn to navigate them with more skill and ease. This doesn't mean you will never feel negative emotions again. They're a natural part of the human experience. But you'll be better equipped to handle them when they do arise. We encourage you to start using this technique right away. The next time you feel a surge of negativity, remember to pause. Take those few deep breaths. Name what you're feeling. Accept it without judgment. And then choose how you want to respond. With time and practice, you may find that this simple act of pausing can lead to profound changes in how you experience and navigate your emotional life. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of how to handle negative emotions. We hope you found this information helpful and that you'll put it into practice in your daily life. Remember, every small step you take towards better emotional management is a victory. You have the power to change how you respond to your emotions, and in doing so, to create a more balanced and fulfilling life. If you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it with others who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on personal growth and emotional well-being. Until next time, take care, and remember, the next time you feel those negative emotions bubbling up, pause, breathe, and choose your response. You've got this.